This final section of the analysis of Dr. McGill's third interview has to deal with the same ideas of the more practical side of his beliefs on transformational, not specifically transformational leadership, but enacting leadership in the choir. He believes that you need to, as a conductor, develop ideas and at the same time get the choir to do the same and develop fully thought out ideas of where you think the music needs to be. This is a reoccurring concept that I've been discussing, but it is because he's very adamant about the worst thing a conductor can do is not have an opinion at all. Beyond imposing your ideas on the choir, the worst thing you can do as a conductor is to not have an opinion of what you're working on. And that's why, with your opinion, along with the choir's opinion, you can make group decisions that best that puts the responsibility on the singers to make those decisions come to life when you're performing them. If you, as the conductor, make a decision and the ensemble completely agrees with you on what it is, that removes the burden of you to make that come alive. And when we allow the ensemble to take responsibility of their music making, it raises the level that they will perform at, it will raise the level of effort that you get, and it will raise their awareness of what they need to do to ensure that they have great performances. That's why he also believes in this mirrored approach of conducting. And when I say this mirror approach, I mean that the conductor is responsible for sending out the first ray of light that then bounces back to them from the ensemble, and then you get this two-way ricocheting of ideas that come from the conductor and then back to the ensemble and vice versa, where many ideas can be sprouted and many thoughts and new thoughts and reconfiguring of ideas and opinions can move to create music in a way that is very organic and very authentic, instead of just a simple one-way direction that needs to be conductor in the front with the choir following, and instead it has the entire ensemble being leaders, moving us in every which way so that we can then come to the end goal. It's just like saying, you know, all roads lead to Rome, or there's not only one way to eat a Reese's. When we do that, we should ask questions and point out possibilities as conductors. Instead of simply just trying to ask the questions, we should also point out that if we ask a question, there are a multitude of answers for us to come to agreement with. And then this creates these three-dimensional performances that I speak of. And these are performances that not only have great music being performed, but they have honesty behind them, and they have a emotional grounding that allows an audience to understand what is going on, instead of simply just being in a concert, listening to music, and trying to figure out what it means for yourself. You're also giving them wonderful music that has intention behind it, so they can see the inherent opinion that you put into a piece of music that has to deal with angst. And then they can feel that and then react to it, instead of simply trying to have to create the meaning on their own as an audience member. But they have a more two-sided conversation with the ensemble. With that in mind, we have to realize that failure is a possibility and imperfection is an option. When we try to simply just make the music perfect, we do not give ourselves an opportunity to be human, because humans all have faults, and perfection is something that is hard to come by. And when we allow our ensemble to understand that they can create mistakes in rehearsal and that they can create mistakes in performance, that leaves an opportunity for them to sing even more beautifully. Dr. McGill quoted in one of his experiences here at Westminster that he was stopped by one of his colleagues one day, and the colleague had said to him, "If you're going to teach here, you need to give your ensemble permission to sing badly, because if you don't, they will never sing beautifully." And I believe that quote speaks miles, because of the fact that many conductors expect excellence, they expect perfection, they expect greatness, and they expect it to be truthful, but they never really say, it's okay that we are striving for excellence, but it's also okay if we don't get there. It's simply always seen as we need to try to be as best as we can because that's what we should demand of ourselves. Instead, what we should say is we need to try to be as best as we can, but also remember that it's okay if we don't get there because we'll learn a lot about ourselves, and we'll always be able to try to still get there if we want. And then with all of that, as encompassing all of this into one thing, Dr. McGill says that questioning, like we were saying, is very important. Asking questions and exposing your process of how you want, of how you try to get an ensemble to be a better group of performers and get them to understand music. And once you are able to have your ensemble all understand what your process is, they can begin to make it their own and use it in whichever way they see fit. And if you understand the how we're doing it and the why we're doing it, then you can use it yourself to make it a lot better and a lot easier for you to perform the music and a lot easier for your students to figure out how to fix issues without you telling them. And when the members make all of the tools that you think that you like to identify as your own, their own, and take ownership of them themselves, then it never becomes, this is something my conductor taught me to do, but this is something I learned how to do and shaped it into what I needed. And when we do that, we have finally been able to reach a very high level of understanding and autonomy. And we'll have reached autonomy with our students will have reached autonomy and will be able to diagnose problems on their own, rectify the issues on their own, and we can work on music in such a quicker pace and beyond that perform in a more authentic and more meaningful way. Overall, I believe that Dr. McGill was able to shed light on a very effective way of conducting and a very efficient way of conducting that allows for many hours of beautiful singing to occur, but also even more hours of discovery to occur. Instead of just simply being in rehearsal to sing and perfect music, we went to rehearsal to understand and discover more about music.